It has been so long since I posted here on my channel, and today is going to be a what we're doing in our basement. Friends, I have some really fun things planned for this Heidi Sonboul home channel, and I'm going to be talking about them in my next video I post. But today I'm sharing what we're doing in the basement because I just can't take it. I want to share it so bad. So welcome to my channel, Heidi Sonboul Home. I first want to mention that the lighting in this room is going to be a little bit funky because I filmed this super late at night on Saturday because I was trying so hard to get it all done and filmed before Sunday. So just know that the lighting in here is a little bit off, but this is my craft room and what it looks like now. It has come such a long way. It used to look completely different than this. Brown paneling walls, and the floors were very outdated, and it was a project that was a long time in the making. It was a lot of labor of love, and this space, actually, when we first moved into the house, we actually had a ping pong table down here, and then it evolved into a guest bedroom, and then I decided to take it over completely as a craft space so I can work down here. Today I am doing a collab playlist, and I'm co-hosting it with Lianep, my really dear friend here on YouTube from Beauty on Purpose at Home. She and I together have put together a playlist of other crafters who are giving a craft room tour. So go ahead and check out that playlist that's linked down below at the end of this video. If you are here to view how we redid our basement floors using sticky tiles, go ahead to the 21-minute marker in this video, and that will give you the scoop on all of my tips and things that we did to put them down where they will stick and last the test of time. Over to the right of the room, there is a little curtain divider between my craft space studio and the gym, and you're going to see a wall of ribbons. This wall was the perfect size to put these ribbon holders on them. I picked these up from Joann's. I'm going to link everything you see in this video down below in my description box so you can check anything out. But I love these because it allowed me to be able to store all of my ribbon in rainbow order. Now, I don't necessarily love to put everything in rainbow order. It's just I think by color whenever I'm working on projects. So you're going to see a lot of rainbow things in this room because I like to organize things in a color pattern. Then over to the left of that, which is my paper crafting table. This is where I keep my Cricuts, and then underneath the table is where I have all of my paper storage for all of my scrapbooking paper projects. I love these bins. Again, I'm going to try to link everything down below. And then right now I'm going to show how I ended up doing these curtains on the table. I love it because it conceals anything underneath it, and it gives me extra storage to be able to hide things away and keep things looking tidy. So what I did was I had these extra curtains, and you might all have these too somewhere in your home, just old curtains you're not using anymore, which is what these were. I cut them down to size for the length of my table, and I had a little bit of extra length so you can see here that I can staple it on the underside. I didn't want to staple it on the front side because it kept it looking nice and clean, and then you don't see the staples. So I flipped it up, made sure I had the right length to the floor, did a few staples across, and then I went ahead and pulled it back over, and I kept checking the length to make sure it was straight and not running crooked. Then for my paper crafting table, I actually took two of the curtains, and you can see that middle seam right there, and Calvin's flamingo leg. I was cracking up when I was watching this video back. He was helping me this whole time getting this curtain on here. You can see that I have two of the curtains overlapping right in the middle, which allows it to be able to have that opening for my paper bins. Moving over further into my room, the shelves on the right side of my wall has a whole bunch of paper crafting things in the very first shelf all the way up against the wall. I've got punches, washi tape, embellishments, and then this also is kind of a dual service area because I also love to sew. So you're going to see some sewing stuff here on these shelves. And then in these particular boxes, it's kind of overflow for all my wood crafts. This really cool Lazy Susan tray, I found this in the dollar spot at Target, as well as these jars, and I organized all of my buttons by color, again because I think in color. At the very bottom is where I'm hosting my sewing machine, and then this 3-drawered cabinet, I have that for all of my threads and my sewing tools. Then moving over into the second cabinet along my long wall, this is where I've got all of my paints. Again, I organized them by color, but you can see here it's not exactly in rainbow order, it's just how I felt like it looked the prettiest. This hand was from IKEA, and I thought it would be cute to have it hold a paintbrush. And then I have a whole bunch of yarn in a basket and a couple of decor things on the shelves because I like to make things look functional but also pretty. Then at the very top I have these 2 baskets, and you'll see later on I have 2 at the other side as well, because this is where I like to keep my projects I'm working on. So I typically have a certain amount of projects I work on for each video. Each basket has all the items I need for a project, so I'm not scrummaging and looking through my stuff, and I can just have it all in one place. Now I get asked all the time about these large scissors. I bought them years ago at Home Goods. I have been holding on to them forever, and I also did my name on the wall just so when I'm filming for my channel, my DIY channel, you'll be able to see it. Now years ago I had the opportunity to do my very own scrapbook when I was in the paper crafting industry, and I finally have a place to display my book. It's so fun to be able to have it out on a shelf. I put that next to my Big Bite, which is the larger version of a crocodile, and then I also have a place to display all of my glitter. I love glitter. I don't use it a lot in my DIYs, but I use it a lot in paper crafting. So I went ahead and just had this all cute and organized here. This shelf right above it, I have a little motivation quote on there. It's a great day to craft, because if you all know me from my paper crafting and my DIYs from Dollar Tree, DIY home decor, you'll know that I love crafting. On the very bottom shelf, moving down on this cabinet, you're going to see that I have this plate organizer. I came up with this idea a while ago. I thought it would be so cool to use a plate farmhouse organizer for my different tools, stencils, stickers, paper trimmer, and then the plates that I use whenever I'm painting things. So I thought this would be a really good use of storage and to organize my things but still look really pretty. Here are those other 2 bins like I talked about that you can see the 4, so that I can organize all my projects as I'm going and filming things. Then moving all the way over to the left cabinet, right above it there was this hook from the original owners. It was the perfect place to hang up this beautiful crystal teardrop that someone sent me last Christmas, one of my subscribers. I love it because it catches the light and it's just so pretty up there. And then I have my vintage skates that I got years ago. I love roller skating. Right beneath that I have some of my paper crafting tools. These boxes hold all of my popsicle sticks that you all see me use over on my DIY channel all the time. I love using popsicle sticks on all my projects because it's a great way to get that wood look without having to use big tools. And then inside this basket I've got these organizers for all of my brads and all of my little trinkets that I use on paper crafting. This took forever to organize. I did this years ago, and I just love how functional it is whenever I'm looking for a very specific color. And then I just keep those all inside their containers inside this basket so I can grab things easily when I need it. One of the things I use in my room all the time are wipies. I like to try to keep my hands clean when I'm filming. I like to try to make sure that my table is staying clean. So I love to use wipies, and so I just have this little container here that allows me to be able to pull them out. Then right underneath that I have my embossing tools, which I think that this is just such a fun thing to have. It's from years ago from paper crafting. You can't even buy this anymore, but back in the day I used to work for that company, and so I have all of that embossing stuff there. And then underneath it I have all of my drills, bits, chargers, things that I use for my power tools and my videos. In front of that, to kind of conceal the stuff that's not as pretty, I have this suitcase with all of this rolled up fabric, just to have a fun way to display the fabric, and then I can see what I have on hand, and when I'm getting low on certain things, I can go and pick up those items. I just have like a little to-do list that I keep in one of my drawers. The left side of the wall has 3 bars on it. The very top one is to be able to display my paper crafting layouts, because I love scrapbooking. That's probably my one I'm most known for, is scrapbook layouts. And then underneath that are 2 more bars, and these bars and buckets all came from IKEA, and I love to use them for storage. So I've got my layouts I can display with some little curtain clip hooks, and then the buckets are used to hold scissors, pencils. Again, I put some greenery in some of them, paint brushes, adhesive, whatever it is that I want to store in these buckets. They're a great way to be able to make things look really functional, but also really pretty. Now below those cabinets that have the doors that open are all of my everyday Dollar Tree things I pull from. So I've got a cabinet for wood, metal and glass, a bunch of texture type things, which is, you know, moss and raffia, rocks. I've also got canvas frames in here, rope, just so many different things that I pull from all the time. I wanted to keep these where they were easy for me to be able to grab. And I love these cabinets because the doors have soft close on them, so that way, you know, when I'm trying to get things in and out, I can just barely tap it and they'll start closing by itself, so that way I don't accidentally bump into something or break the door or whatever. I really like these cabinets. I've been using them since January, and I just think that they are really great quality for the price that you get from IKEA for these. Again, I'll link everything down below. Then underneath my main table where I film at, I've got a large trash can, which I love having that because I just like having a trash can right next to me when I'm working, so I keep myself tidy while I'm going fast in a video. And then I also have this caddy where I keep all of my stuff. So I like to work off of a pizza pan. I get these from the Dollar Tree. And then I have my heat gun, my hot glue guns, and I always keep my craft knife in my little box right here next to me so that I can pull these things. These are my most used items. And then moving over to the right of my desk when I'm sitting down, each drawer has been organized by my sweet Calvin. He actually came down and helped me do all of this. One of these are for tape, adhesive. Then I've got my finger protectors when I do use hot glue. I have really tough fingers, so I don't have to use hot glue protectors too often. That's why a lot of you always ask me over on my craft channel, don't you ever burn your fingers? I really don't, because I have really tough fingers. And so I have those, some clips, some essential oils, some of my favorite markers, a hair tie when, you know, I want to put my hair up. I keep twine in here because I use twine on almost every single video, pens, and then these are some of my most reached things, little tiny fussy cut scissors, this little hammer, and then I do not smoke, but I like to keep a lighter inside of this drawer because sometimes I do DIYs where I use candles and I want to be able to light the candle without having to run and look for a lighter. So I like to keep that in here as well. And then another thing, it's totally random, but sometimes I like to time myself on my projects. So I will keep a timer here next to me so I can see how long I'm taking, or if I'm in a rush to try to get things done really quickly, I will put that timer on so I can time myself. And then because I believe in emergency preparedness, I have a little flashlight here. So just in case the power ever goes out or we have to come down into the basement, I know right where there's a little flashlight to be able to grab it and then to be able to turn it on if we need it. Moving down to the next drawer, I like to keep band-aids here because while I don't get burned, I cut my hands all the time because I'm so fast when I'm crafting that sometimes I cut my finger, and I like to keep band-aids here. I've got my adhesive that I use the most, some sponges that I really like. I've got a little bin for sandpaper and a sharpening block for my scissors. And then I've also got some rotary blades, pliers, an extra backup crafting knife kit. And then the next drawer down, I've got all of my different tapes that I use, tons of screws and nails, these gold hooks that I use on so many projects. And then I have some little lighting things here whenever I want to light some stuff up, little battery operated lights. The next drawer below that, I've got my leveler, I've got some treats when Miriam comes to visit me. And then this is a new tool I'm going to be using. It's a glass cutting tool. And then I love this tool. I know some people are intimidated by it, but this is a Dremel tool. I think this thing is the coolest. I actually used it for something in my room I'll share in a second. Here's my staple gun that I use in almost every single video. Tons and tons of zip ties in different sizes. And then these are all of the staples and drill bits for my Dremel tool. Again, the staples for my staple gun. And then some putty as well as some wire to be able to fasten or patch holes or whatever. I like to have all of this stuff in this drawer just because I use them all the time. And then down at the very bottom, I've got my safety goggles, some caulking, putty, and then my miter box, as well as some little thank you cards, and then some stuff for my Cricut, as well as some extra trash bags and some Ziploc bags. This helps me stay organized and tidy in my craft room. And basically here are all of my tools. Again, thank you to my sweet Calvin who organized all of this. He's my organizing genius, and so he put all of those together. Then moving over into my closet, I'm so blessed because this room actually has a nice big closet, because now I'm able to organize more things inside of here and keep my space nice and tidy. This actually was a hot mess for the longest time, but me doing this craft room makeover has finally made me get my act together. So inside the closet up at the top, I like to try to maximize my space as much as possible. I put these hooks from the Dollar Tree up here so I can hang up a broom and dustpans so that I can clean up my space whenever I'm done. And then this is where I store my lights when I'm not filming. Typically these are out all the time, but because I was filming this tour, they're inside this closet, but now I have a place to actually store them. And then in here, you're gonna see my seasonal bucket. I try to keep only the season I'm working on in this closet. And on another video on another day, I actually will show where I keep everything else. It's in a sunroom in our backside of the house where I store all of our seasonal decor. Again, I'll have that coming soon. But these are all the totes that I use for all of my most recent projects and season I'm working on, and everything else I try to keep out of my space so I can keep my headspace clear. Then I've got also my thrifted finds in here, and then this is the one I think I'm most excited to share. I took this long mop pole and I actually grabbed 2 of them, as well as these hooks that they had around the summertime at the Dollar Tree, and I hooked them on here, and then using my Dremel I cut the rod down because the Dremel can cut through metal. So I went and cut it down and added one more of the top of the hooks for the mops or the brooms on the other side so I could hang it up and then hang up all of my wreaths. And Megan from Glue Guns and Roses had another really great idea. I'm going to link her video down below, but this is such a great way to hang up all your wreaths. And then over to the left of my closet, I've got all of my tall wood storage in some magazine racks to help stand them all up straight, as well as this cabinet to be able to host all of my DIYs I'm working on. As I'm finishing them, I put them in there. And then over to the right, you can see I've got some foam core that I hide to the side. Now this is the one that is the long overdue promised link. I was trying to find a better way to store my flowers. I had these all in 6 or 7 bins, and it was driving me crazy because it was taking up so much space. So I went online back in December and I did some research and discovered that they had this really cool 3-sided standing up rack, and I knew that I could turn it into a flower tower storage organizer. Now there is a trick to this. I know a couple friends have been asking them, have found it, and have been using it in their craft rooms, but this is the most important trick about this. If you just put the flowers in, the holes are too big and the flowers are going to fall out. So before I start really stacking in the flowers, I like to take a zip tie and I put them every so other, I don't even know how I'm even trying to explain this, but I like to try to space these zip ties out here and there so then I can pack the flowers in through the loop, and then I can pack them around that, so it really keeps everything locked in. Then at the very bottom, I took some of these Dollar Tree buckets, punched holes, and zip tied them to the bottom for more storage. Above that, I have this soffit that comes down for our AC unit, and I decided to hang up this really cute sign, as well as Megan from Glue Guns and Roses showed this in one of her videos, and I had to give her a shout out because it was genius. She took one of these plate organizers and used it to hang up her rolls of wrapping paper. You can also use this for your vinyl rolls to be able to hang up that stuff and get it off your floors, and then to use and maximize space in your craft rooms so it's not eating up other areas. So this is up and out of the way so I can store my wrapping paper and things like that. So this is the craft room overall view of everything. Now I'm going to show how I did the floors, because I know I've had so many people asking questions over on Instagram. If you didn't know, I'm over on Instagram. I'll link that down below in my description box, but it's just Heidi Sonboul over there. And I have been giving little sneak peeks of this space down here because it has come such a long way. It did not look like this even 6 months ago. So I'm going to now share how we did our floors, and this is what the floors originally looked like. Back in the day, super cute. And funny enough, had they been like gray and white, they would have been on trend again. But they were faded and yellow and brown, and I just wanted something that was new. Now this basement has been the catch-all dumping ground for so long. While our upstairs is really clean, the basement has been a hot mess for so long. So I got some things to organize, like these containers, these fabric containers for blankets. I decided to do all of that. And if you missed our tour for when I did the makeover our laundry room, I'll link that down below too so you can check it out, because that had such a huge transformation. Still have some things I want to do in there, but this is how far it's come. Now for our floors, we ended up picking these up from Home Depot. And I loved these peel and stick tiles because they had a really pretty natural looking texture to them. I thought that the quality of these looked so great. Again, I'm going to link all the products down below, but this is the brand that we used. And then the color, I believe, was gray ash. So again, I'll link everything down below, but some things you're going to need are some knee pads, and you're going to need a ruler and a box cutting knife, and make sure you have lots of blades. Now before you lay down the tiles, there are some very important steps. You need to sweep, you need to then vacuum, and then you need to mop, because you want to try to get up all of the dust you possibly can so that you don't have anything left over on the floors that are going to cause the tiles not to want to bond. Now this part right here, Calvin was helping me mop the floors. This reminds me of Cinderella when Lucifer the cat will not leave Cinderella alone and she's trying to mop. Comet would not get out of here, so Calvin was trying to like spook him just a little bit so he would stop coming down here, because he is the nosiest cat. So Calvin was trying to get him to move, and look, even still, he was being so stubborn and did not want to leave. So finally he got the clue and took off and did not come back for a while. But anyway, once your floors are all clean, you're going to go ahead and start getting your tiles. Miriam is my assistant. This is when she broke her arm a couple of weeks back. Her cast has come off since, but this was a fun project for her to help with since she couldn't really do too much with that broken arm, and she just was so bored. Poor thing. Breaking an arm at the beginning of summertime is never great. So she would slide me a tile. I would remove the paper from the back. Now the paper on the back has these arrows and they want you to go a very specific way, but friends, if I could convince you, don't do that, because what happens is there's a repeating pattern, and after a while it starts to look very manufactured. It doesn't look like real natural wood. I actually would look at the tile, make sure the pattern is alternating and switching around, and then that way the pattern was not looking so like it came from a factory and they look like they're peel and stick tiles. You'll see what I mean if you pick these tiles up. I like to try to like play with them to make sure that the pattern looked more natural versus all these same repeating patterns going down a long row. And then it starts to look more like a bowling alley lane than anything. So you can see here at the halfway point of the tiles is where we're meeting them up. And you want to make sure you're doing that so that you don't have a weird seam line going through all the tiles. So you can see that here I am peeling it, and I'm going to put this at the halfway point, and I'm going to nestle that down in there. Now definitely start on one side of the room. You can see all the way behind me, we had worked on the family room back that way. Jason is working on all the tricky cuts while I'm doing all of the big bulk of the room, getting all the tiles laid down in the middle. But you want to make sure as you're going to go from left to right or right to left, it doesn't matter which one you do, because rooms change in their sizing. So you want to make sure when you're laying down the tiles, they're fitting in there properly without any issues. Then as that part was done, Jason handled, like I said earlier, the tricky cuts. He went and used a ruler. And there's lots of different ways to do this. I have seen so many tutorials. You can look on YouTube on how to cut these better. But this was how Jason felt most comfortable. He used a ruler. He measured things out. There's all kinds of cool tools out there for this. But this is what he felt most comfortable, where he had most control over how it looked to get a really clean line. So he drew out his lines with a pencil so he could erase what he didn't like. A pen is kind of permanent, so just keep in mind if you use a pen, maybe not such a good idea. And then he's just going to go over it with his box cutter. He said make sure you have a really sharp blade, and as the blade gets gummy and sticky, switch it out with a new blade, and it'll make your job go so much quicker. Then you're going to basically pop off that piece that you cut, and then you're going to check it before you peel the paper off to make sure everything fits nicely. And if it doesn't, then you're going to want to take your box cutter knife again, and you're going to want to continue to just keep shaving off little by little so you don't take off too much. The closer you get to the baseboards, the nicer it's going to look. Then once you've got it where you want it to, you can go ahead and peel back the paper and then be able to put it in place and make sure everything's lined up and you push it up in there before you rub it down. Now these tiles, after about 24 hours, really lock into place. So you have a little bit of time to be able to move them around. It's not like they lock in right away, but after about 24 hours, that adhesive really bonds. And I love these because basements are kind of tricky. Sometimes you have some flooding from your sewer lateral line. These are really great because if something happens, you can remove a couple and replace them really easily. Now going back over into the craft room space, you can see that we finished the family hangout room down in the basement, Jason's gaming area, and our gym. And now we're moving over to my craft room. This, I'm telling you, flooring and knocking out walls are the two hardest projects I have ever DIY'd because you're having to move furniture around. It is a huge commitment. So not by any means am I misleading anybody here and telling you this was an easy project. It was definitely a labor of love, and it took us quite some time because we would do one room and shift things and then do the next room and shift things. It felt like our basement was a hot mess for months, is what it felt like. It was realistically probably like a solid month, maybe a month and a half. Then once we were all done, we went ahead and swept everything. Nyla would not leave us alone, so I just brought her bed over so she could be next to me because she's just such a love. She always wants to be wherever I'm at, so she was kind of hanging out here while we were getting cabinets back into place. I love our pets, but sometimes they are just as needy as children. And not that I'm saying that that's a bad thing with kids or pets. It's just sometimes when you're trying to work on projects like this, they're underfoot and it makes things take even longer. So this was the joy of working on these at the beginning of summer when everybody was out of school, trying to figure out how to manage working on these projects while we had kids here at home with us and pets underfoot. Anyway, once this corner was all done, it was the most satisfying feeling to push these cabinets into place, and it instantly made our basement feel, like the value, the quality of it increased by 1,000. I mean, maybe that percentage is way off. I just know that, man, it made it feel so different that even my kids kept saying, man, these basements are so nice. These floors look like you'd see in the model homes, and I highly recommend it. Just know it's a lot of labor of love. Now, to protect the floors so we don't have any problems with them being scratched, I mean, we have pets, so Nyla and her claws, who knows over time, but we've had them in for several months now, and they have been so great. But just to be wise, we went ahead and put these little floor grip protectors on the bottom of all of our furniture down here to make sure that nothing scratches it, and it has done such a great job. Now here is what they look like. I'm not going to show everything in the basement. I have another video coming where I'm going to be doing the full basement tour because I have some makeover stuff that I'm going to be doing here in this family hangout area, and then the gym, the bathroom. I have another video coming, just know that. But basically, no regret doing these floors. Just know that they are a labor of love. I love, love, love how they turned out. And then the last little area, this was the last section over here, was this little hallway and the bathroom. And since I had filmed that, I thought I would show and end with that we finished every single floor in the basement. So I have so many fun videos coming here in this next few months over summertime where I'm going to be redoing so many little spaces in our home like this. And I just can't say enough about these peel and stick tiles. They just make me so happy. And the bathroom, again, I mean, it was such a huge transformation from what the tiles were before. This home, when we bought it, had so many mixed match different tiles and carpets all over this place. We counted 8 different floor types in this house when we first bought it. So here's the bathroom. The toilet's not in yet. This is going to be most likely my next makeover I show here on my channel. The cabinet's not painted. The walls are painted because the boys helped me with that one. But this is the boys' bathroom down in the basement, and I can't wait to show this space makeover because, again, it just feels so different. All right, friends, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you head down below to the description box to check out the playlist for today and everybody else who is doing their craft room tours. Thanks so much for stopping by, and until the next episode, bye, friends.